Hey, this is Angie, founder of Be Well, God Bless, who is helping people do what God is calling them to do. And I am so honored and blessed to be sitting next to Val Bullerman. Mm. So
Hello,
she has been a huge blessing in my life. Um, Definitely one of those people that God has called into my life to help me on my journey and my path. And I am just so excited to be able to be learning out loud today from Val. And Val is a business coach and just a wonderful leader, a wonderful mentor, a person that you can just sit and watch and say, "Oh, that's what I got to do." And so super, like I said, super excited to have her in my life and have her as a member of Be Well, God Bless. And Val, I just want you to start out and tell us a little bit as to, how did God call you into doing this coaching?
So thank you. First of all, thank you for allowing me to be here, Angie. I am so excited to share my story with others, partially because I want them to know that as we're guided by God and through this world, we are giving pointers. Some appear to be successes and some appear to be failures. The interesting part is by labeling them, we take away from our journey. And so I want you to share my journey with you all so that you can see that it's important just to follow the guidance that what we're given. Well, I'm going to go back a little bit to when I worked at Principal Financial Group. I started out as a manager. I was what people considered at the top of my game. People looked to me and said, "Oh my gosh, she's a manager. That's one of the coolest jobs you could have." I'd worked really hard to become a manager. When I became a manager, I hated it. I didn't like it at all. And when my third surprise blessing, his name is Matthew, was born, I decided something had to change. Something, I didn't want to be a mom of three in the corporate world, working long hours and not being able to be with my kids.
Right.
So I quit, and everybody thought I was crazy.
Right.
And I began a couple different entrepreneurial things here and there, and landed on coaching. And how I got to coaching was by a coach. I said I want to do only things I love, and he helped me to discover that what I loved was the art of helping people. And when I'm helping people, I'm in my place, I'm in my path, I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. And coaching for me is exactly that.
Yeah, and you are gifted. Absolutely. And one thing you talked about that journey and the great success that you've had. But for me, a lot of times listening to you in the retreats and the different classes that I've done is the stories that where you were at and where you were struggling. Because I'm like, oh, I'm there and I can get there because she's there. And so as wonderful it is that God calls us to do these things, it's not always easy to do. It
I
may be simple, but it's not easy.
for, for sure. And then it's the questioning, right? We question, and that's one of the things. I think one of the biggest gifts we can give ourselves is to say, "This is where I'm being guided, so this is where I'm going to go."
Hmm.
And we'll still question, but stop questioning to the point that we stop.
Yes.
Um, Moving forward, I guess that's probably the biggest advice I could give.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because really, you can just take that one step, go to God, and say, it was just, He keeps telling you one step at a time. And you really don't get any more than that.
Right?
Right. Yeah. Well, one
Yeah.
thing I'm very happy to learn from you today and see a presentation that is going to be about stop selling and start connecting. And this is kind of a major thing in your life and in your world and with the different networking things, with the polka dot that you lead. And, I just, that was actually one of the big things that started Be Well, God Bless, because I didn't like that sales part. I was in direct sales and I love the company, love the people, but I'm like, I don't like the sales. And you just do a beautiful way of explaining how to connect with the people so the sales can happen. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
So,
I want to share just really quickly. When I became a coach, it wasn't a skyrocket to greatness, right? It was a bumpy journey, and what I'm going to share today with you all is how I got to where I am today, because I started out a really poor coach. I was not making good money. I remember I quit the corporate world, and then my husband was like, "Honey, you need to get a job or figure this out. You know, we've got to have money coming in." And I know some of our listeners probably have had that conversation with their loved ones or even with themselves. I mean, I actually told myself, you have a month. You need to figure this out, get it going, or do something else. And that's how what I'm going to share with you today was born.
Mm, awesome. All right. Well, let's learn about this.
Started? All right. So when I first began being a coach, I knew that I knew it was meant, I knew it was what I was put on earth to do. Like I knew this is it. This is my soul's journey. And the only problem was nobody came knocking at my door. Nobody came, "Hey Val, I want to coach." And I'm sure some of you have felt that too.
Yeah.
Like I've got something really, really awesome to share with the world. What I have is going to change the world. The only problem is the world isn't coming to me and asking for it. And a lot of the sales programs that I saw felt very hard, very pushy, very, and just hard and pushy. And by not having a comfortable way to offer what I had, I actually kind of just took it in and kept it to myself
Right.
until I knew something had to change. I needed to get either a job, go back and get a job, which I was not happy with, or figure this out. And so I actually figured it out. And what I'm going to share with you today is that I figured it out.
Awesome.
Yeah. So one of my favorite sayings from the social synapse is, if you would like to establish a connection with people from another culture, it's always good to offer a few gifts as a gesture of friendship. But an even better way to forge a lasting bond is creating something together. Whether it's a meal, an art project, or just a spontaneous dance party, when you create with others, you build a connection that lasts a lifetime.
Awesome. And
So
Val,
you're not going to.
that's on your slideshow, right?
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead and share your screen again so we can
Oh,
see that
shoot.
too.
Sorry. All right. Let me. Got it.
Got it.
There we go. Look, there it is.
Awesome. There it is. Perfect.
Awesome sauce. So yeah, so this is really the basis of this way to do business, right? Is to offer gifts, is to always be feeling like you're giving a gift. Because to me, when you are offering the world what you do, it is offering a gift. It is allowing people to be successful, whether it's based on something that you have to share or something that they have to share out into the world. One of my favorite things that has come through my coaching journey is lead with love. And so this is a picture of my family. It's a little old. My girls are Matt's now graduated. And yeah, it's super fun. Just look back at that old picture. And then the real big thing for me right now is my kids have grown up and gone off. I have two grandkids, and they light my life. Like I'm so excited about life through them, with them, and around them. And so I also believe that there's something really important about living our businesses with love, leading our businesses with love, and making sure that that it's a big part of it. It's a big part of my business and a big part of where you're heading, all of you. So yeah, just want to share that little fun thing.
It's very cool.
I told you in the beginning where I started, waiting for people to knock on my door. One of the things I didn't tell you that I don't tell a lot of people, one day I woke up and I was really struggling in my business. And I came into my office, and on my office desk was setting the walnuts. And my husband had very carefully circled the ones he thought that I could do. And I was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that he did that. First of all, I was really mad. Second of all, then I was really like, oh, like, now what am I going to do? But what really happened was I used that energy and I went forward and said, I'm going to make this work. I am not going to go back and get a job because that is not where I belong. And I started developing this system that we're talking about today, Stop Selling, Start Connecting. And I literally went from 5 low paying clients to 14 high paying clients within 4 months. And been all the way to Amsterdam. You'll see the picture of me and Laura down front. You can see us down front waving. That was one of our events that we did in Amsterdam. And I've had the honor to be on a lot of different places, but on a magazine, for goodness sakes. I never quite imagined myself doing that. And the reason I tell you this is not to brag and not to, show off, but what I'm telling you is this girl from Iowa, ended up in Amsterdam on the front of a magazine, and I'm a mom on the street where neighbors don't even know what I do.
Right.
There are certain people in my that I run with here locally that know what I do, but very, very few people here know that. So in order to be successful, it can be on your level. It doesn't have to look any certain way. I guess that's probably what I'd like you to know the most.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And like you said, often the people that are right around you, the people across the street really have no clue at all what it is that you're doing. They don't get it, they don't understand it. Yet you are leading, you are sharing, you are impacting and changing lives in that process.
Yeah. Yeah, such a good point, Angie. And sometimes your family doesn't get what you do. My husband, until about 4 years ago, didn't really understand what I do. I mean, he knew I was a coach, but here in Iowa, when you say you're a coach, well, they always ask you what sport do you coach, because they don't have any idea what coaching really, really is. So,
Right.
so don't let that stop you. My key is don't let that stop you. Educate them by experience. You go out, you do what you do, and they'll catch on. They'll pick up little glimpses here and there, and see you shine brightly. And from that, then they'll understand.
Yeah, excellent.
All right. So the question that I always love to ask is, how would you like to double? How would you like to triple your income? Um, and then my question after that is, who do you need to be to do that? What needs to change in your business in order to do that? If you think about today and where your business is at, and if you were to do 3 times the business that you're doing today, your mind is going to automatically go to, oh, I couldn't do that because I don't have enough help, I don't have enough time, things aren't smooth enough. There's all sorts of things that might pop up. And so what I'd like for you to think about and take some time maybe later on is, what would need to change in your business in order for you to triple your income? It can happen. It happened for me the first 3 years of my business because of this program.
All right.
A lot of it is about mindset and strategy. And so the first thing, everybody's always like, give me the details. Tell me how to do it. I want to copy exactly what you do. And you could do that, but without the correct mindset. And that's why I always talk about the triple your income. We have to change some things in our mind in order to have the success that we want, because that's part of the success journey. And Angie, I know you can speak to this, is, thinking differently about your business is every bit as important, if not more important, than the strategy side of things.
Yes, absolutely. I think for me, I knew, like you did, this calling that God has on your heart. You're gonna lead this business, this community, and share with more people what they do. And then he took me down my own journey. He's like, for you to understand and get what it is, the struggles, the things that people are going through, you're gonna have to go through it yourself. And it was a lot of that deep mindset work, much more than the strategy, not so much the structure, but yeah, just that deep internal look and listen. And for me, it was a lot of just listening, because once I got out of my own head what it is that I'm supposed to do and went in my heart and listened to what God wants me to do, that's where the magic starts happening.
Beautiful. That is so beautifully put. Thank you. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So today we're going to talk about the secret energy of connection. and the importance of connection. Here's the cool part. By the time we're done today, you're going to look at connection in a different way. You're going to look at, hopefully you'll look at sales in a little bit different way. But what you always talk about, Angie, is the ripple effect and the being able to look at connection in this different way, not only in your business, but in your life and how you associate with people in the world. All of a sudden, it's a really big ripple effect. So that's part of why I'm so excited to share this with you here today. One of the things that people don't realize is that connection is a choice, right? You can choose to be a connector. You can choose to practice connection everywhere you go. You can choose to connect with others consistently. It's really important for me anyway, and I know for you too, Angie, is to how can I serve that person in front of me? Choose to be a listener. Oops. Hang on. Okay. Anyway, we're going to stick here for a minute. And so realizing those different things, I think of all of those. Let me see. I'm not sure if I know how to go back. Oh, I do right here. Hold on one second. So for you, Angie, I guess I'd love to know which one comes easy for you and which one is a little bit more of a challenge.
Well, the one that popped out for me as the challenge is connecting consistently with others. I love connecting with people. I love, probably the easiest serving people and just choosing to be a connector for others. Not necessarily the person in the front of the room, but the person in the back of the room. They're very important and they are, so I love that. But then connecting and following up and building that continued relationship would be the part that I need to improve upon.
Oh, that's so common, right? Especially for us, those of us who love to connect.
Yeah.
Not everybody loves to connect. If you're a little bit of an introvert, connection can be scary. Connection can feel uncomfortable. It feels like a lot of energy has to be expanded to connect. And so developing a plan as we walk through this today is really important. One of the things that people don't know about me is that I'm sometimes a little introverted. When I'm at a class or training for other people, I'm kind of the quiet girl in the corner. I'm observing, I'm taking it in, that sort of thing. When I'm on stage or when I'm in front of people, then it's on, right? I turn my energy on. It's not something I don't behave this way when I'm at the dinner table, right? So it's okay for you to think, oh my gosh, I'm not like Val or I'm not like Angie, who great connectors. It's okay. It's a choice. It's a practice. And so that's why each one of these things, as you look at what comes easy for you, focus on that. And then what's a little bit more challenging, let's bolster that up a little bit. Let's create the opportunity for you. And connection is a great way to do that. So what kind of connector are you? We're going to have a little fun here. So when you look at those colors, I want you to choose the first color that comes to your mind. Angie, how about you?
Yellow.
Yellow. Yeah, we'll start there. Perfect. Yellow is organized and analytical. So they love to sit down and have things in order. They love to and when they see a problem, they love to take it and turn around and, look at it. And they're great connectors. Red is intensive and a little ambitious, which is awesome. They have a lot of power within them. They make great connectors and people are attracted to them. Green are intelligent and balanced. They love to think about things. They love to have great conversations. They have usually a really great balance between life and business, which is awesome. And then there's ones that are a little bit like me. I'm a blue. They show up with a glass of wine and say, hey, let's get this party started. Let's have some fun, right? So it doesn't matter whether you're yellow or red or green or blue. Being a connector in your way, in your specific, bringing all of you to the table is the most important part. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So we're going to get a little bit into the meat of this and the community, connection, and conversation. This is the three C's of stop selling, start connecting. We're going to talk about community, creating communities around you, joining a community. We're going to talk about connection and what that looks like, and then great conversations that we have. So where can you connect? You can do things like start a new networking group, but there's so many places out in the world that you can connect without having to do a lot of intense effort. You go to coffee shops, strike up conversations. You can go to meetings. You can attend classes. Of course, you can attend networking meetings, but that's just one of the small ways. A lot of social media, there's a lot of Facebook groups that are out there having some really great conversations. One of my favorite ones for me is we have it's a hidden group, right? And we all had been through one certain coach together, and now we have a place, and we call it our dirty laundry because we feel like it's a place where we can go, we can express ourselves fully because we get where we're coming from based on this person's coaching. We can bring our problems, we bring our successes, we bring everything to the table. But it's the first place I go that if I need a resource, these people are the first place that I go. For instance, I think we were talking about sponsorship in another meeting that I was at. And I went to this place right away and said, all right, who's had experiences with sponsorships? And they right away went boom, boom, boom. Oh, and check with this person and look at that person. So creating these places around you, not only to connect with for future conversations and possible sales, but also to support you. We are meant to connect. We are God's creatures, and we are all meant to connect together in one way or another. Some will be very close connections, like Angie and I. I feel very closely connected with Angie. And other ones will be more casual connections, but they're all very, very important. Yeah. Do you have any to add to this, Ange?
Real good stuff. As I said before, Val is actually the managing director of Polka Dot Powerhouse, which is for women, and that is an amazing place to come and network and connect with people. You got some good ones up there. Just attending classes, whether it's fitness classes, whether it's food classes, or whatever it is you're interested, hobbies, shooting, any different things. It's going to put you in the same place with people with like-minded interests, which then, like you said, with your dirty laundry group, once you're already connected together with stuff, you have that common interest, then you can just get deeper in the relationship. And that's what I love about the networking group you do, is I was connecting with somebody at a coffee shop, and we started out our conversation. It's like I hate small talk, and I hate just to, try to see how is the weather and do that. And here you can just get right to the meat of the conversation. You can get so deep in the conversations, and you don't have to have that, social nicety sort of thing, because we already know that that's a safe place to go.
Yeah. I love that example because it is true when you sit down with someone that you don't necessarily know as well. You can kind of like put aside that weather talk, right? And know that we want to connect. And where do we connect? We connect heart to heart. That's the place. We also connect with our brains. Great conversations, and you don't have to agree to have a great connection. Even just being willing to see another person's viewpoint, which I think today we're missing some of that in our world, and seeing where other people are coming from. What's their passion? What are they excited about? All of those. When you do that, and I think you found that, Angie, when you get up and walk away from the table, you can think, wow, I've either found a friend, a confidant, a future connection, another future connection. Doing connections are not just one-offs, and I think this is a great conversation. It's just not a one, I connected, now I'm not going to connect with them anymore. I have to actually remind myself that, I did connect with her last year, and I loved connecting with her. I'm going to connect with her again this year just
Mhm.
because I enjoyed that connection so much, or this quarter or this month, whatever that looks like. But don't be afraid to reconnect with people. We're going to talk about fresh connections, but reconnecting is important too.
Mhm.
So start a connection list. It's just that easy, right? Take a piece of paper and just start writing down who are some people that you've met in your world that you would like to get to know better. Um, it can be someone that you met at a PTA meeting or PTO, I think they call it now, PTO meeting, or at the gym, and you thought, just that brief conversation. She felt like a cool chick and I would love to connect with her more. Or we share a really common interest. That would be really fun to dive deeper into that. So don't be afraid to start that list. And you can say to them, you know what? You popped into my mind and I would love to sit down and have a cup of tea with you. And they'll be really honored. They won't actually, a lot of people that I ask that to are actually really excited because they're like, oh my gosh, I kind of felt that way too, but I didn't know if I should reach out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how much time do you have to get 5 new clients or customers? It's really about that, and I know as busy women, Angie, we are our schedules are full, and I'm sure everybody's schedules are full, but really making time for connection is making time for new clients and new customers. And even if, let's just say 1 out of 5, right? If you 1 out of 5 people that you meet or connect with become a client, then those 5 hours become what's a new client worth to you. You have to decide, is that worth your time and effort? And the cool part, one person might become a client, but then you might have a new friend, a new colleague, all these other definitions of surrounding ourselves with like-minded people is really, really important.
Mhm.
So I have 5 principles of connection and making sure that we stay in the connection mode. Because I'm just gonna go there. I'm gonna be, a little bit bold here and say, I hate it when people sit down and say,
Ugh,
"Hi, my name is," I'll just use myself. "Hi, my name is Val Bullerman. I'm a business coach. You need to work with me."
yeah. Mhm.
Or right, that I call it the used car salesman thing. "Hi, want to buy a car? I'm sure you know somebody who wants to buy a car. Here's 5 of my cards. Give them out to people,"
Right.
sort of thing. That's not what connection is about at all. And so I'm going to talk just real quickly about these: intention versus expectation. So when you have a connection with someone or you're talking to someone, really stop and think, how do I want to show up in this world, in this conversation? Who do I want to be to this person? Instead of trying to look down the road and say, are they going to buy for me? Oh my gosh, I'm going to use an example. She likes walnuts. I sell walnuts. Oh my goodness, she's going to want to buy from me. Let go of that. Really just allow that to go away and focus on who's in front of you and how can you serve them.
Mhm.
Right? We've all met those people, right, Angie?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think it just changes the whole atmosphere of the conversation when you feel as though your purpose is to sell to them by the end of the conversation. When
Right.
you are just able to connect and share, and really I say, just suit up and show up and let God take over. Um, he will do magical things, and it might not be in that conversation, and it might not be, the direct way that you think, if I do this, I'm going to get this. That's not the way that God works. You do this, and He's going to make it be better than you ever imagined, but you have to let Him be in charge and not you. And when you come in with that idea that I'm going to sell this, that stops all the great things that He can do.
It's like building a wall up, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
building a wall up between you and what you want when you put that sale first, expectation in there, instead of being willing to say, I'm just going to come and I'm going to be really open. Yeah,
Hmm.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Know your value.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I see, especially with women and sometimes with men too, is they don't know their value. They know what they have to offer is good, but they really don't know how life-changing it can be. I fall into this trap as well as everybody that I know at times. We forget. We forget what our real value is. Because here's the cool part. If we're not out there going, business card, here you go, and instead sit back and say, first of all, the intention. I know that the people that need me will show up. And then also, I also know my value and that I am very powerful and I'm excited to work with people, but I also want to work with the right people.
Mhm.
That's a little hint there that a lot of people sometimes need. Be willing to connect with someone that scares you. Remember that list that we talked about?
Mhm.
Put someone on that list that scares you, and not by scares you boo mean,
Right.
that scares you because you feel like they're too high, too much, too I don't know, whatever, right? I love to connect with people that intimidate me a little bit, and I actually it's a fear thing, like, it's a little scary at first, but
Yeah.
when I get there and when I talk to them, I find out they're just real people just like we are. They put their pants on one leg at a time, just like us. So I'm really gonna encourage you to get outside of your comfort zone and connect with someone. Angie, do you have anybody that you need to put on your list?
Well, I was just thinking as you were talking, I'm like, well, this call here, I'm like, that was amazing. Um, and I am so blessed that I got outside of my comfort zone to do this Learn Out Loud series because it is the professional members that are truly doing amazing things in the world. And I'm at that point, I'm stepping up to say, hey, um, let me be in your world, and like you said, every time that I connect with somebody, I'm like, wow, I'm so glad I did that and learned so much and connected very personal. It wasn't um, there's no uncomfortableness about it, and it just is such a blessing. So you hit all of these, every one of these. I'm like, oh yeah, I you taught me a lot on knowing my value because I wasn't there. I was, so yeah, huge
Yeah,
lessons here happening.
cool.
Mm.
Very cool. Excuse me. So and the other thing is practice connection wherever you go.
Mm.
And that sounds really funny because, first of all, I don't want you to I'll say, like, I don't want you to go slobber all over people, right? But when you're in, and this has happened to me multiple times, I have met the coolest people in an airplane shuttle. I travel a ton with my business, and whether it be the driver or someone who's next to me, I just strike up a small conversation. It has led me to speaking gigs,
Mm.
to just some crazy good opportunities. It got me an upgrade on my room one time at a hotel. Totally, of course, my intention was to connect, and I knew my value, so I could sit back and just listen to that person and talk with them. And he actually went in behind the desk and talked to them, and I got an upgrade to a suite because we just had a great conversation.
Wow.
It it can really change the dynamics of how you show up in the world when you practice connection everywhere you go.
Mm-hmm.
And my last one is one of my favorite. It wasn't always my favorite though, but be curious, right? So if you're connecting with someone that scares you, being curious will actually settle you down, right? It'll bring you back to, I'm just going to learn from this person. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
going to have this great conversation, and I'm going to ask them a ton of questions that that things that I want to know, things that I'm curious about. And I love it. I When people do this with me, they'll always say, "Oh my gosh, I don't want you to think I'm milking you or trying to get everything from you." And I'm like, "Well, I have really good boundaries. I'll be more than happy to say no when I'm ready to say no." But in the meantime, this is a great conversation. People love it when you're curious about them.
Mm. Yes, absolutely. People love to talk about themselves, about their wisdom, about oh, so often. And it's hard to always start out and say, here's who I am and what I do, but it's really easy to answer the question if somebody is asking you, what do you do? Which is a huge part about this community is, being able to answer and to share and to get your information out because it's in that heart space. And so that curiosity, that's a great one.
Mhm. For sure. So now let's take a look at this process, because what I see today, and not good, bad, or indifferent, I'm fine with it all. When you go to networking places, you do meet a couple of those people that say, "Here's my cards, pass them out to everybody you know," or "Here's my flyer," and whatever. Um, and so I've actually developed a little bit of a different process. And one of my favorite things was getting a call one morning really early. I think I was on the East Coast and my client was in Arizona. So no, it was the other way around. It was the other way around. Anyway, it was really early in the morning for me, and she called, and I picked it up because I thought, oh my goodness, she must need something. And she said, "Val, these people don't know stop selling, start connecting. They don't know how to do this." And I kind of laughed. I said, "It's your job by being the example of teaching them this process." And she kind of went, "Oh, oh, okay," kind of thing. So what I'm teaching you here is not the normal way that people do it. But what I want to share with you and impact with you is this is the way to do business. This is the fun way to do business. It's the way that that I would want to be, that I look all the time for people to do business with me. And I have a great example of that I'll share a little bit later. So first of all, you meet people, right? You meet people out in the world. You meet people at networking or a talk, and you say, "Hey, you know what? We share some common values, or I'm really curious about this about your business. Let's have a connection meeting." So we have coffee, we have tea, doesn't have to be super long. In fact, I recommend the first connection meeting never be over a half hour. You keep it to a half hour so that you don't feel, because here's the thing, if you get along really, really great and it turns into a 3-hour meeting, that's awesome. But that person may not schedule with you again because time is precious. And if they think, oh, the next time we're going to meet, we're probably going to meet for another 3 hours, I would much rather have a fabulous half-hour conversation and say, "I really want to meet with you again next week. Would that be okay?" They'll say yes, because they know that you're going to keep their time together. Angie, you just had a connection meeting this last week, or I know this sometime this week.
Mhm.
What was your favorite thing about it?
Mm. I think just hearing the real life story about the person, hearing about, you know some things because it's on their site or their flyer or things like that, but just really hearing them tell it just brought so much more clarity, heart, and depth to it. And so I love being able to connect with them at that heart level.
Yeah, right? For
Hmm.
sure. Absolutely. So after you've had this connection meeting, then what happens to me very often is at the end of the connection meeting, they'll say, "Oh my gosh, I've talked," because I ask a lot of questions. I don't necessarily talk a lot about myself. I ask a lot of questions. I answer their questions, and then at the end, they'll say, "Oh my gosh, I didn't, Val, I didn't get to hear much about your business. I would love to know more about it." Then I invite them into a conversation. Now, one of two ways. You can go sales conversation, or you can go, I'm going to tell you more about myself conversation. The way I teach a sales conversation is not, "What's your need? How can I fill it? Buy it today." Right? It's actually a very mapped out conversation around what's going on with you, what's keeping you from getting what you want. Um, are you willing to change that? How committed are you? And then, if I feel like I can serve them or be of service to them, then I ask them, "If I could help you with this, is that something you'd be interested in?" And
Hmm.
then, if they say yes, then it's time for you to say, "Here's what I offer." But it's right. So a lot of people meet people, make the offer. No,
Right.
no, no. We need to move it down a little bit into a connection meeting and then a conversation with them. And
Hmm.
don't be fooled by the sales conversation. A sales conversation does not have to feel salesy,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Super. So then when you've had that conversation with people, then it's possible results. And here's all the things that could happen, right? They may just want to be on your list. They give or receive a referral. Maybe you have a referral for them. Maybe they want more information. You could send them a free report or a magazine or a brochure that you have. Maybe they want your product or service. That's possible. Maybe they're just going to be a really good friend. I have met many people through this process, and they've become just a really good friend of mine, or a possible joint venture. Maybe there's things that you can come together and do something together. And so this is how simple this process is. It's really not complicated. Angie, when you first, I know you've learned this a while ago, but what would be a possible question around this process that our listeners might have?
Hmm. Um, I think the thing for me when I learned it that just has probably had the biggest impact um, was knowing that first conversation that we have, that 30 minutes,
Mhm.
is just to get to know them. Really, yeah, I say you got two ears and one mouth, so listen twice as much as you talk,
Right?
and just ask them lots of questions about themselves, um, and then when they're interested to know more about what you do, then you come back and have another conversation. And then it doesn't feel like your purpose of meeting and connecting with them to begin with was just so you can sell them something.
Right.
And you may find out in that first connection that you have with them, this is really not probably the person that would fit with what it is that I'm trying to do. So I think
Mhm.
being able to spend that first amount of time just getting to know them makes anything that happens in the future so much better. I mean, you now have a relationship with the person that you're going to be doing business with,
Right.
as opposed to you have a sale and you don't have a person, you don't have a relationship.
Right. Right.
Hmm.
And you're exactly right. That's such a good thing to know is all of those options that are along the bottom could go right up to the connection meeting, except for the sell the product. You're not going to
Hmm.
sell at your connection meeting. I want to be really clear. But you may discover, they're not a person that you would sell to, and that's okay. So
Hmm.
then they're still a friend, or then maybe they need more information. Maybe you could give them a referral. Maybe you could ask them for a referral. All of those are possible back up there. You don't have, and I don't recommend holding sales conversations with everyone.
Hmm.
When I have a sales conversation with someone, um, this sounds kind of funny, but it's more about, do I want to work with this person? Do they hold the values and the abilities that I need in order to help them to be successful? Not everybody's meant to work with everyone. Not everyone's meant to sell everyone
Right.
on everything. So making sure that that's part of holding your value, right? And knowing that your certain people are out there in the world. Our job is to find them. So it's to make friends or possible ventures or referrals, and then the sales might be one of the least, maybe the least amount of focus that we're going to take during this,
Hmm.
because if I can help them, great, and if I can't, that's great too, because I can recommend them to someone else, or guide them in a different way, or just connect with them and on a personal level.
And then the sales part of it becomes so natural and so easy.
Mhm.
It's something they're like really want from you,
Right.
and it's not something you're trying to push on them. It's more that you're gifting them what you have, and it makes them feel great and it makes you feel great, and it's that magical space.
It is.
But it's because you let God do what was necessary, what was needed. And you need to suit up and show up. You have to be there. You have to play in the space, but you need to build that relationship and connect, and then the rest of it's going to fall into place.
Yeah, yeah, for
Mhm.
sure. So some people look at this and say, "Oh my gosh, this looks like it takes a lot of time."
Mm.
We're back to where we started in the beginning. How much time are you willing to give to get a new client, to have a sale, to those kind of things? the really fun part is even if it's not the direct sale, you've got all these other benefits that are going to come along, which I think are that it is the magical part of this
Well,
is that your world gets bigger.
yeah, yeah, because oftentimes it may not be the person that you're talking to, but because you are talking to them, they have a cousin or a friend or somebody in their life who they're like, hey, there's somebody that I really think that you should connect with because what you have would really help them. And
Right.
so when you spend that time, it just that's that magic part.
Mhm. Beautiful. Nice. So here's what I want you to know is that you can do this.
Mm.
This simple, it's this easy. Stop trying to make this complicated. Stop trying to make it too hard. It is literally this simple. I used exactly what I showed you from beginning to end, just over and over and over again. And that's how I went from my 5 clients to my 14 clients within 4 months. And I was actually figuring out this system during that 4 months. I could now, well, pretty much if I wanted to, I could probably do it in about a month if I just got serious and spent the time and calendared it and went right through it. The wonderful part is you can expand your business so quickly during this just by following these very simple rules. Um, Not rules, not necessarily rules, guidelines. Let's call them that, guidelines. So I want you to know that when you don't believe in yourself and you don't believe that you can, I want you to know that I believe you can. No matter who's listening, even if I haven't met you yet, I believe you can do it. And all you need to do is reach out and reach out to others. That's where the support will come around all of this, is getting out and actually doing the connections.
Mm.
So one of my favorite, we all know Brene Brown, like she rocks, right? She's so super cool. A connection is the energy that exists between two people when they feel seen, heard, and valued. When they can give and receive without judgment, when they can derive sustenance and strength from the relationship, that's a connection. So I want for all of you to feel like this could be easy, or I want you to think, oh my gosh, could I really do this? I want you to know, back to the previous slide, yes, you can. I know you can, and I believe that you can. So that's it. That's what I got, Miss Angie. What questions, comments, things do you
Awesome.
do you have for me?
That's awesome. I would say go ahead and stop sharing your screen so we can see you nice and big and bold again.
Yay! Here I am. Okay. Oh yeah, I
Um,
gotta press the button. So here's the thing. I will share with you is you could be as successful as I am and not be technically competent all the time. Always my first thing, but that's okay. That's all right too.
yeah, we'll help you on that.
I've got people like Angie to help me with all of that, and my team. Yeah, everybody is super patient around me because like I said, I love to connect. The technology is not necessarily, but that's okay. I'm good with
hmm
that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think great, great stuff. I think that is just if you have that as your core of everything you do in your business, I think everything in your business is just going to go a whole lot better. And whether that's because you're trying to get customers, or maybe you're trying to get partners, or you're trying to find somebody to do your technology, or whatever it is, whenever you want to go and connect with somebody, and sometimes you don't even know what it is that you need to connect with them about, and sometimes it's something that they need to connect with you about. When you're just in that space to um, just show up and connect and be present with them and to listen to them, and um, great things happen. Mhm.
Amazing things happen. You never know what's going to happen. I ended up in Amsterdam. You saw the picture of me being in Amsterdam. That was through connection. It literally was just a connection. It was way back when I very first began doing this practice, this art, and I ended up working in Amsterdam for 3 years. So you never know where it's going to take you.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I thank you so much for teaching me, for sharing your wisdom and your knowledge. And we will get this out so that the community of Be Well, but God Bless can see and know more about you. And I'll have some information on how they can connect with you if they'd like to work some more with you. All right.
That's awesome. Thank you for the opportunity, Angie.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thank you, and be well, and God bless.